and hello. Welcome to the Nighthawk Racing First Championship. I'm Sarah Hawkins, also known as Sarah Hawkey, and I'll be your host this evening and one of your co-commentators for this Gran Turismo 7 Base Championship. I'm joined once again by motorsport enthusiast, racer and co-commentator Midnight ISO.
Hello, Sarah. Thank you very much for the introduction. Pleasure to be here, and time for some Lobby 2 again. Been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, so have I. Always get some great racing from Lobby 2. But for anybody that's new to the series, we're just going to give a quick series rundown. So we are back and better than ever for Season 2 of the Nighthawk Racing First Championship. We have an 8-event championship spanning over 16 race sessions and 8 weeks in total. Lots of different car manufacturers on the grid, 28 drivers and some great tracks on the calendar. So we have 3 official timed sessions with a reverse grid sprint race up first, followed by qualifying, and then tonight we'll be treated to a 38 lap feature race around Dragon Trail Seaside. Okay, Midnight, for anybody that's new, could you give us a quick overview of the event session format and point scale, please?
Yes, of course, it would be my pleasure. Okay, so first off, we have our sprint race, which is based in reverse championship order, well, more like reverse average points scored. So it makes things entertaining for those, particularly at the back, trying to make their way through the field. The race itself will be a rolling start, and it's open tyre choice as well, so whatever you see will go from that. Next up is our qualifying session, which will base the grid for the feature race. Qualifying itself is 10 minutes long, and the drivers will have to qualify on the same tyres they intend to start the race on. The feature race itself is going to be 38 laps. There is no mandatory pit stop per se, but each driver will have to race a minimum of 2 different tyre compounds. Okay, and on to the points for Lobby 2. Okay, first up for qualifying, there are points for the top 3. 3 for first, 2 for second, and 1 for third. In the sprint race itself, there are 12 points for a win, down to 1 point for 12. In the feature race, it is somewhat like the Grand Prix points. 25 for first place, 22 for second, and down all the way to 1 for 14th place. Both races have points for the fastest lap. 1 point for the sprint fastest lap and 2 points for the feature race fastest lap. And Sarah, over to you.
Yeah, and before we have a quick overview of the drivers on the grid tonight, just a quick showing and a quick trip back to last week at Watkins Glen. So our sprint race podium was Deadline in first, Ripon Deterrent in second, and then our newcomer to the championship, Late Speed, also known as Mariah, getting a third place finish in her first ever sprint race. And then in the feature race, we then had Late Speed coming in first place, a first win of the Nighthawk series for her, and I'm sure she'll be back towards the end of the championship challenging for another win. But in second, we then had Deadline again, and Ripon Deterrent also in third place. So which did promote him into Lobby 1, and we saw him racing beautifully earlier. But without further ado, we'll have a quick overview of the drivers and then get ready for some racing. Welcome to the driver overview section of the video, where I get the pleasure of introducing you to all of the drivers on the grid tonight. We do have a slightly smaller grid than normal, but I'm sure we'll be treated to some good racing like normal. But to start off with, we will start with Simon. Simon driving the RX Vision. This will be Simon's first competitive race around Dragon Trail Seaside, another track to add to the collection and under his belt. And the more laps and tracks Simon is doing, the more confident he's getting with the car and picking up speed as he goes. Simon is currently in 20th place on 66 points. Next up, we then have Yvonne. There is no slowing that Beetle down. She is driving that Beetle brilliantly, making sure to place it in all of the right places and defend from the other drivers. Don't forget, Yvonne is also the community manager and one of the organisers behind the Inner Esports and Screen to Speed team, so make sure to check them out. Yvonne is currently in 14th place with 102 points. We then have Sharon Sharon Fly driving the Ferrari 458. In the last couple of events, Sharon has had some great pace and amazing qualifying results. She's also a Twitch streamer who regularly streams the races and practice sessions from her point of view. So make sure to check her out on Twitch, Sharon_Fly. She has a beautiful singing voice too, so definitely worth a follow. Sharon is currently in 19th place on 74 points in total. Next up, we then have Haslett, aka Saber Venom, as you may see on screen during the race. Haslett is always ready to have some good battles with the other drivers on the grid. Every week he's got closer and closer to that podium spot. It's tonight the night that we'll see Haslett on the podium. He's driving the BMW M6, which might be a bit of a handful to drive around Seaside, but I'm sure Haslett will drive it in style. Haslett is in 16th place with 97 points. Next up, we then have our very own Big Crazy Bertie, our Lobby 2 host and part of the Nighthawk admin team. He has been doing a phenomenal job during this season so far. Bertie had a couple of difficult races round Watkins Glen last week, but can we see his luck change for the better tonight around Seaside, a track that we all used to drive very regularly on GT Sport and in lobbies. Bertie is currently in 11th place with 130 points, which ties him with LB Racing. Next up, we then have our very own Ziggy. Ziggy had a very good qualifying session last week and will be looking to do the same again here tonight to set himself up in a good position for that feature race. The Supra is a car which shoots tonight's track, so Ziggy will be looking to put the pedal to the metal and go flat out in both races. Ziggy is currently in 21st place with 58 points in total. And next up we have Sim Race Dude. You may remember Sim Race Dude in Season 1 and what a Season 1 he had. But Sim Race Dude is back and ready to hit the track in his Mercedes AMG for his first race of Season 2. We all know how fast Sim Race Dude was in that Aston Martin in Season 1. Sim Race Dude is also part of the Nighthawk Racing admin team, helping with media and producing ideas, bringing the creations to life. I'm excited to see how Jamie does tonight, and hopefully we'll see more of Sim Race Dude in the next coming races or next season. And our last driver of tonight, we then have Deadline. After a sprint race victory last week and a very close battle between himself and Late Speed, Deadline will be looking for another good performance around Dragon Trail. Is it possible for Deadline to get a double win tonight and go for a Grand Slam? Deadline is in 18th place overall with 85 points. Well, that rounds out the Nighthawk Racing grid for Lobby 2 Race 6 around Dragon Trail Seaside. And what good grid we've got again tonight, although slightly smaller than normal, but I'm excited nevertheless to go into the comms box and watch the racing commence. So let's switch back over to the cars on the grid and watch some racing, shall we?
Alright, and we'll go for the sprint race, round 6, Dragon Trail, Lobby 2. Sharon leads the grid away, followed by Ziggy, Haslett, Yvonne, Bertie, Deadline, and our very own Sim Race Dude in his first race for Nighthawk Racing in Season 2. Sarah, this looks like it could be a good race. If a bit of a smaller grid this time, but hopefully just a nice, entertaining, close race. So let's see what happens as they all make it through the first couple of corners. Yvonne very wide into turn 2.
Yeah, just saw tried to sneakily get past Deadline, past Yvonne into the uphill chicane as Yvonne comes back at him going into that inside line. But yeah, I mean, a little bit of a smaller grid, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah. Ziggy was very wide into the right-hander, and Haslett's got up the inside of him. So Haslett up to P2, otherwise known as Saber Venom, and now Deadline is challenging for Ziggy's P3. So Ziggy on the way back at the moment, not feeling the confidence in that Supra for the first lap.
No, the Supra being a very difficult car to handle, but if you can handle it round here,
Deadline.
We all know it's quite good.
Yeah, it is a good car for track, but you've got to have the confidence in it to be able to push it. Deadline getting down the inside on the brakes into the hairpin at the right-hander, and now through the death chicane. They're all making it through, it seems.
Yeah, as we see Sim Race Dude looking onto the inside line past Yvonne here. Thinks better of it and tucks just behind Yvonne into the last corner. But potentially a battle brewing here. But yeah, it looks quite close out front.
It does. It looks like Sharon has taken the longer-minded route as Hazlitt has gone down the outside into P1 on turn 1 with Deadline coming back at the pair of them. So Sharon's had a very slow exit and down the pit straight for some reason, dropped 2 places. But I was just saying, she's chosen the longer strategy because of using the medium tyres, but that was strange to see her to drop so much time.
Yeah, it just goes to show, you know, the set of softs around here. They are quite fast. Oh, a little bit of a collision between Sharon and Ziggy there, which did kind of put the brakes on for Yvonne and Sim Race Dude. You know, they had to slam the brakes on to avoid a lot of damage. So yeah, I think caught a few drivers off guard there. But the battle still brewing between Sim Race Dude and Yvonne, going down the downhill section here. We see Sim Race Dude dive onto the outside. He does. Oh, a little bit of a touch and go between Sim Race Dude and Yvonne, but it looks like Sim Race Dude has got out in front of Yvonne going into this chicane. As we all know from our Lobby 1, we brand it the death chicane because it does catch quite a few drivers out.
And it has caught our first victim, Yvonne, catching the wall on the way out of the death chicane, and with that front left damage. That is unfortunate, but that's why it's nicknamed the death chicane, or the death chicken as some know it, Sarah.
Yes, definitely I know it as the death chicken, and whenever we drive around this track it always comes up in conversation.
It certainly does. We call it that because, well, it's like playing a game of chickens. Like, do you go full throttle or do you not? And you chicken out of it or do you not? It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Exactly. And like chickens in real life, it's not afraid to bite or peck.
I was going to say, but I get the analogy. So, at the moment, we do have the 2 M6 drivers, P1, P2, followed by our own admin Ziggy P3, Sharon P4, Sim Race Dude, and he's returned to the series in P5, and Bertie, one of our other admin, P6, closely followed by Yvonne, who, it always seems curious, whenever you get damage in that Beetle, it doesn't slow her down. But, yeah, got to give respect for that, haven't you?
Oh, 100%. Like you saw in Lobby 1 as well, quite a few drivers picking up damage. But although there's a certain element you can take of damage before it does really slow you down. But like you say, that Beetle seems kind of on...
Oh, Ziggy! Big damage! Big crash!
Yeah, that caught my attention there, caught me mid-sentence. I just saw Ziggy having that big crash... And yeah, that caught me by surprise. But yeah, I mean, that Beetle looks like it's a hard one to stop. But I mean, what stopped Ziggy there was those concrete barriers either side of that chicane. Like I say, it's if you get it wrong there, you're greeted by the concrete barrier straight away. So unfortunately, obviously, with Ziggy picking up probably quite a few bits of damaged panels, and yeah, we'll put a little bit of a damper on this sprint race. But we've still got quite a few laps to go, and I'm sure Ziggy will get it going again.
Yep, and we have Sim Race Dude up to P3 as well. But yeah, that wall, that's what we know Dragon Trail for. You know, despair in this case. And this track does bite, as we've seen it in other series. We've seen it in previous expos. It's one of those tracks that we all love coming to. We've been coming here since GT Sports. It has a load of good memories and a load of bad ones. And that wall has just unfortunately made another interesting one for our Ziggy.
100%. And like we were saying as well, that 9 times out of 10 you can drive this track and you get it spot on. But that one time, if you go a little bit too fast into that chicane, or you don't brake enough, or you're carrying that little bit too much speed and you're not able to turn in, that one time it will end in disaster.
It certainly does. It absolutely does. Now we do have Ziggy, who has unfortunately picked up insult to injury, another 3-second penalty. So he's obviously crossed the white line, coming in or out of the pits on the previous lap, repairing that damage. So that will happen. But developing news, I'm keeping an eye on Deadline and our Sabre Velum, or Hazlitt as we know him. And the front tyre wear for Deadline does look to be a bit more severe, but we're only just about halfway through this sprint race. He's just coming up to the 7-minute marker. So I do think Deadline's going to have to conserve his tyres, but he's not going to have the opportunity. Hazlitt is going to be pushing him right to the end. And they're only about a second and a half apart, Sarah.
Yeah, obviously the two BMWs, usually it's the battle of the BMWs up front, and it looks like we're set to see yet another battle between the two BMWs. But yeah, I'm sure Hassett will be looking to make that gap even smaller than a second and put some pressure on Deadline.
Yeah, well, we will literally have to keep an eye on it because, like you say, there's something about M6s and the Nighthawk Racing, the F1 RST series, that M6s seem to attract each other.
It's almost like they must put magnets, one in the back bumper, one in the front. They're always connected.
Do you know what? There's a theory. I'm going to stick with it for the meantime. But it does look like Hazlitt's had a bit of a worse lap. He's fallen away from Deadline. That or Deadline is just pushing for all he's worth and going all out for the sprint win, perhaps.
Trying to. Ooh!
Well, that was well caught. That was a pirouette from our sim race dude.
How did he not pick up damage?
I have no idea, but that looked spectacular.
Yeah, and that was a miracle. Not to pick up damage there with that pirouette is very lucky indeed.
But in other news, we do have Big Crazy Bertie closing in on Sharon, who again is running those medium tyres. She's going to have the grip at the end of the race. But Bertie's got the grip at the moment, and he's known as the tyre whisperer amongst a lot of us because he can get softs to places that other people can't. But at the moment, he's got to use all of that grip to try and get up to P4.
Yeah, using all the rubber on those soft set of tyres, and like you say, towards the end of the race, we might see, the advantage fall on Sharon with those medium tyres. Obviously, probably allowed her to have that little bit more traction compared to the soft runners around her. But and also, data gathering for the feature race. If she can gauge how long those mediums last, and as to what strategy she'll decide to take.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, I have unfortunately spotted Ziggy. I think he just had a moment coming out of that chicane, and he's picked up some more damage. So I did think he might be going for the fastest lap, but he won't be with that damage. So that is unfortunate for him. But like we say, this track bites.
Yeah, and usually, obviously, it's that fear. You don't want to let the fear override you.
Here goes Bertie.
Yeah, on board with Bertie, goes into that inside line. Sharon to the outside line. Plenty of room between the two. Bertie goes into the inside. Sharon tucks in just behind. Is carrying quite a lot of speed, so we'll see Sharon coming back at Bertie here, side by side over the start-finish straight. Oh, and Sharon pips just in front of Bertie, but this will help Bertie out. He'll get a lot of slipstream from Sharon. But yeah, Sharon decides to leave the braking very late, which allows a little bit of breathing room between the two, and off Sharon goes down the road. But yeah, that was a very late braking, but what a move, braver out of the two. Held on for that a little bit longer and got the move done and sticked.
Yeah, quite right. At the end of the day, she performed an absolutely beautiful cutback on Bertie, let him go narrow on the inside to the final corner, got the cutback and the slipstream down the main straight, and then was back in front again. So yeah, and then it's just a matter of being the last of the late breakers. But this battle's going to continue on. Bertie is climbing all over the back of that Ferrari, but one thing we do know, they'll be respectful to each other and just have a good race. So it's great to see. But Bertie actually goes for a little bit of a lunge, but has got up the inside to P4. But he's going to have to make those tyres last. all the way to the end, and Sharon is right behind still, especially in that slipstream. So this is going to carry on, Sarah.
Bertie returning the favour of a late breaking move there.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Well, we were just saying that this circuit bites. It's just bit another one.
I don't want to say it, but another one bites the dust. But yeah, unfortunate for Sharon. Obviously, quite a good battle between herself and Bertie. But you know, she'll still pick up some decent points, and you know, will help all towards the feature race. You know, you can gauge how much you can push that chicane until it does really bite and causes a bit of damage. But yeah, unfortunate obviously to be involved in a little bit of collisions between those barriers, which does let Bertie go free, and I'm sure Bertie will you know, enjoy the breathing space that he's got at the moment.
Quite right. Okay, battle developing. We have Sim Race Dude right on the back, and you can tell he's pushing like mad, right on the back of Haslett. And I think he's going to go for the move right away. He's not going to hang around. Down the inside into the hairpin. Gets the move stuck. Or does he?
Oh, does he?
No. Too deep. Too deep. I think...
Just left that brake in just that little bit too late there. And not able to get the rotation in the car done.
Yeah, I was just looking at the wear of the tyre patterns on the cars. It looks like the front tyres and the M6 were in a hand. You can see with Sim Race Dude, he's fighting the back end of that AMG. And we still got 2 minutes left, give or take. So I think we might just only have one lap. Yes, I think it's going to be one lap to go. So this should be the final lap by my count. Well, if we'd had another lap, I think we would have had Sim Race Dude in real trouble with his rear tyres and Deadline in trouble with his front tyres. So, different wear patterns for the different cars. But at the moment, looks like Deadline's going to hold on. Now it's just a question if Sim Race Dude can get ahead of Haslett and keep it there.
Yeah. If anything, you know, in the Nighthawk Racing hashtag F1 RST Championship, we expect the drivers, you know, the last minute. Oh,
he's gone.
Unfortunate. I was literally just about to say, you know, the drivers like to leave it last minute to make those moves stuck and podium drives, you know, settled usually across the start-finish straight. But it looks like that spin there did cost Sim Race Dude quite a bit of time, and Haslett, you know, down the road. In that breathing room, and pretty much knows that he's got that P2 secured now. Yeah,
I think so. I think now it's a question if Bertie can sneak a podium or not. The rear tyres for that AMG are, well, they're nearly gone. It's got front end damage. It's going to be slow down the straight, so that's where the battle is. And it looks like Deadline's going to get a fairly uncontested sprint win for the second week in a row.
You know, Deadline's not complaining. He gets you know, have the breathing room behind. Although, you know, Haslett isn't too far behind, so Deadline will be worried about that in the feature race.
P1 for Deadline.
Yep, P1, another win under the belt.
P2 for Haslett. Now, yep, it's going to be P3 for Sim Race Dude, P4 for Bertie, and Yvonne's going to pick up a P5 despite the early damage. And it looks like, yeah, Sharon in P6 with Ziggy in P7. So, that's going to be our finishing order, Sarah. Pretty good race.
Well, indeed. Yeah, and I think Bertie will be thinking, oh, damn, just one more lap and I would have been on the podium.
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. But good race from all. Sharon coming across the line for P6. We're going to stick with Ziggy for the remaining half lap. I bet you rather wish we didn't go to him at that point. That's unfortunate. But
that is unfortunate.
Yeah. This is one of those tracks, if you haven't had either the practice or the luck, which is often the case around here, sometimes you just don't get a good race. But he's got the feature race to try and make it up. And at the end of the day, he's still getting some points for P7. And surprisingly, our sim race dude with the fastest lap as well. I shouldn't say surprisingly, because he is a quick fellow. But despite a spin, a 360, and clunk in the wall, he still comes away with a P7 and a fastest lap point.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll be happy with a podium on his first drive back and those fastest lap points, and excited to see what all the drivers can do in the feature race and in qualifying.
Exactly that. And, well, yeah, so far, Sarah, that was a very decent race. It looks like we can see the form drivers to begin with, but it can be turned on its head, especially for the feature race around this track. So, I'm going to say, shall we move on to the qualifying results and go from there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, and to the results for qualifying. Starting in 8th and working up. In 8th we have our own Super Simon, who this is his first experience of this track, particularly in a league format. So he unfortunately didn't get the chance to race in the sprint, so he's going to be finding out what it's like in the actual race itself. But after some decent practice, he did put in a decent time, but he'll be starting on those racing softs in P8. In P7, in that little Yeetle Beetle, we have Yvonne starting on the medium tyres. In P6, in the 458, we have Sharon on medium tyres. And in P5, we have Haslett, otherwise known as Saber Venom, in that M6 on also medium tyres.
In P4, we then have our very own Big Crazy Bertie. In P3, we have again our very own Ziggy, which looked like he had quite a good qualifying there. P3. And in second place, we have again our very own Sim Race Dude, and again a very good qualifying for him in his first ever Nighthawk event, well, of season 2. And in pole, probably not a surprise, is Deadline in that BMW M6.
Okay, and 5 lights. And the grid is away. Sharon looks like she gets an absolutely flying start. Off the grid like lightning. All the field are heading down to turn 1 and into that first chicane. So, we're expecting a lot from this race. We'll see what's going to happen. So far, no contact. Lots of good close racing. But, unfortunately, there it goes. Ziggy's round. A little bit of contact, just as I say it. A little bit of a commentator's curse there. But at least the rest of the grid are away. And no damage to Ziggy. So, at the very least, he'll be able to continue the race. Out front at the moment, Deadline, closely followed by our very own Sim Race Dude. It looks like we do have a bit of a spread in the field very early on, but it will allow a lot of the drivers to focus on just hitting those apex, just hitting those corners just as they want, and trying to avoid hitting the wall, particularly through that death chicane. But it looks like we're going to have a fight right from the off between Sim Race Dude and Deadline, both on those soft tyres. And let's see if Sim Race 2 can follow Deadline through the chicane. Sarah, so far, any thoughts or any predictions?
Ooh, I think it might be that a little bit too early to predict. The Nighthawk driver definitely, they make it very impossible to predict this early on. So I mean, it's all to play for. But I mean, like you say, what a start Sharon had. But unfortunately, Ziggy getting spun round. I'm sure he'll be looking to make up a few positions, but the P1 and 2, Deadline and Sim Race Dude, it looks like we might see this battle continuing into lap number 2, and obviously 2 very different cars, but I'm excited to see which one ends up on that top spot.
Likewise. Also worth noting that Deadline is a controller driver, Sim Race Dude is a wheel driver, so you have a very different set of mindsets and controls, cars, and drivers themselves. So this is going to pan out, I think, long term, and yeah, this fight is going to continue. We'll keep an eye on them. And Hassler is on that medium tyre, so we will have to keep an eye on him throughout the race. It's a sheer fact. He will go probably longer than Deadline. Saying it, Deadline might argue with that. He does tend to go very long on a set of completely worn out tyres, or a set of rims, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's brave around here to go on the rims, especially with this this chicane of death, as we call it. So, yeah, I mean, if Deadline can pull it off, then he's a lot braver than what what I would be around here. Oh, Sim Race Dude having a spin and hitting the barrier coming out of the chicane. Like we said multiple times, you know, this chicane, when you get it right, it feels great. When you accidentally clip a barrier, it does become very annoying.
Yeah, I can absolutely vouch for that. But yeah, unfortunately, big damage for our Sim Race student. I think that might even be a trip straight into the pit lane. Yes, indeed. So he's going to pit straight away. That might be a big change of strategy, but this is a long race, 38 laps. So hopefully he can recover later on.
Like you say, sometimes it's just better and easier to come into the pits, repair that damage, and go again.
Exactly. And I've got to say, I say this every race, but I am super impressed with Super Simon. He really does only have a handful of hours on each individual set of tyres, let alone a track. So he's doing very well. He's been chased down by our very own Ziggy, otherwise known as Bila Dorada, if anyone knows him in any online races on GT7. And it looks like we're going to have a battle between these two for a little while.
Yeah, and it looks like we'll be having another battle between Yvonne and Bertie here as well. These two, you know, they're always in the same part of the track usually, so hopefully a battle brewing between these two as well.
Yeah, we always seem to see that. We get certain drivers are nearly always close together, and that just shows that across the two lobbies that we have, that some very well matched drivers. Ziggy going for the move. Ziggy going for the move on the inside of the first chicane of the Seaside part of the track. Gets that one done. And will he make it through the second part? Yes, he does. He's going to be happy that we've caught him going through it for a change without some damage. And I can say that because he has a good sense of humour, the young lad as he is. And as we see, yeah, that other battle brewing with Bertie and Yvonne. What is weird is you always see that beetle and it dwarfs in the other car in its size. And you could barely tell Bertie was behind Yvonne on that one. But one thing I've just noticed, Yvonne is actually carrying some pretty significant damage on the front left there.
Yeah, but like we said in the sprint race, it doesn't seem to slow that beetle down.
It does not. But so far, shout out Sharon running in P3 in that 458, and that is a tricky car. So keep going, Sharon. It looks like she might be trying to chase down Haslett, which that'll be a good sort of feather in her cap on that one. But going back to our leader, Deadline, not running away with things, but definitely trying to set fastest laps. And he's pushing that M6 as hard as he can. He comes through the chicane. Beautiful little line round there, though. But that front tyre looks like it is crying a bit. So yeah. Bertie on the back of Yvonne again. So I've got the feeling he might get the move done into T1 or even maybe the final corner, given that Yvonne is definitely going to be suffering with top end speed loss thanks to that bit of aero damage. So that said, maybe he's fuel saving. He does like to go especially long on a stint, so he might be just sticking in the slipstream. We'll see if he goes to the pass into turn 1. Is he shaping up for the pass? No, he's not. I think he's being a bit sneaky. I think he's going for a fuel-saving race. So, interesting strategy from Bertie, and it does pay off for him sometimes. In fact, more often than not.
Yeah, obviously we always go back to that. He was driving at high speed, and came away from that event with 2 wins in one night. So he's definitely got the pace, and like you say, potentially maybe going for a fuel saving race. But if not, I always enjoy watching the battles that Bertie and Yvonne have. It's always quite close on track, but always respectful.
Could not agree more. As we go back on board with these two, as they're going out, maybe Bertie's had enough now. I think he is going for that move down to that hairpin. Makes a pass, makes it stick, and he's off. But he really is an absolute tyre whisperer. He can make a pair of soft tyres go places that no other driver can seemingly do. Oh, unfortunately, that's Yvonne really into the wall now. So that's front right and front left damage as it gets overtaken by Ziggy coming up to P5. Unfortunate round here. I know Yvonne and Late Speed, or otherwise known as Mariah, have been doing some training together. But unfortunately, it can be down to how things go on the night. You can be very, very confident. You can train absolutely all the hours under the sun, but sometimes it can just go wrong. But Yvonne's still going, still carrying that damage. P6. Maybe she's going to try and get into a pit stop window before repairing that damage.
Oh, Sharon going for the overtake on Haslett here. Going on to the outside line, which is then the inside line into that little kink. And we'll go into the hairpin here, just tucking behind Haslett. But yeah, these two, racing side by side is good to see.
Absolutely. You can definitely see, tyre wear wise, that 4th of A is doing pretty well today. So we could be on for a very good result for Sharon. And another possible podium spot today.
Yeah, and I'm sure she would be very happy about that. And yeah, obviously we both know how difficult that 458 is to drive around difficult tracks like this. So, doing remarkably well so far. And potentially, hopefully we'll see her on the podium towards the end of the race.
Yep. And Sharon is seeking her first feature race podium of the season. Haslett is also seeking his first podium for the feature race of the season. So these two are going to want to give each other enough space to make sure they get there. But I have faith in them. We've seen good, clean racing from the pair of them from all season so far. And Sharon has got that move done into the final turn. But will Haslett come back at her down the straight? Because that M6 is rapid and down into turn 1.
Yeah, she dived into that inside line, kept it narrow, and then accelerating straight on the exit, which meant that Ferrari 458 was uncatchable. But you say Venom making Haslett just tucking in behind her, and he'll be looking to try and make a move back on Sharon. As Sharon breaks very early into that apex, accelerating on the exit again. But I can sense this battle is going to brew on till the bitter end.
At the moment, I can't say absolutely anything against that. These two are going to keep going. I think we've just seen, Yvonne have a bit of a moment down into that tight 90-degree right-hander at the end of Sector 1. Unfortunately, Ziggy was very, very close to her for some reason. I wonder if he's had a minor off somewhere and Yvonne has come across the back of him. But at the moment, Yvonne still holding P6. Super Simon actually closing in that RX Vision. I have to say, I am impressed with his level of improvement. And if he keeps going this way, he's going to be a danger to the midfield, and if not beyond, if he just keeps improving.
Yeah, and obviously it's always good to see drivers improving race on race.
So, okay, Haslett has got back into P2. We have lost Sharon somewhere. I think she's had an incident through the chicane. Haslett with that damage is pitted instantly. Ziggy up to P4. Sharon is carrying massive damage as well. I think there's been an incident between them in the chicanes, unseen by us.
Yeah, just obviously going slightly under the radar there, but we know how difficult it is to race, side by side or very close racing into that chicane. sometimes it can end in tears, but hopefully, you know, not costing either too much time.
Well, I've got to say that's an absolutely huge let off for Deadline, who was carrying the softer tyres and would have soon started to be reeled in by Sharon and Haslett. Now he's almost got a free pit stop. That's an absolutely huge let off for him, as far as I can see. Bertie running in P2 is going to be absolutely laughing all the way to the podium if he can just keep going at speed and keep the others behind him.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be smiling ear to ear, knowing that he's got a bit of breathing room in this race, or so far in this race. You know, he probably be keeping a look in his mirrors, but for him to see no cars behind him at the moment, I'm sure he's enjoying that.
So Haslett has come out behind Simon in P7. Sharon has come out in P8. Both taken. Well, Sharon taking a full tank, Haslett not taking a full tank, so he's clearly going to be pushing on a set of soft tyres. So it might be fairly lucky for Haslett the incident happened when it did. He might be able to just adjust strategy somewhat and stick to more or less what he was going to do. So just the time loss of the actual incident itself. I think I've just heard a spin. I did. I think that was Sim Race Dude, and we have had a retirement from him. So that is unfortunate. We are down a driver after 8 laps with a retirement from, Sim Race Dude. Unfortunate there. Looks like an incident coming out of that chicane that shall not be named.
Yeah, and we all know that, especially I think, you know, sometimes the exit of that chicane could be a little bit more lethal than the entry. You know, you clip a little bit of a wall on the exit, or you don't quite get the line right, and it's spinning you into the wall straight away. So yeah, drivers trying to be as careful as possible going into that chicane.
Yeah, as we said, it definitely bites. So Deadline out front at the moment, running those soft tyres down to the rim. I mean, at this point I would definitely be considering pitting, because it looks like he's got basically a free pit stop. But why would you do something logical? Just carry on running those tyres to the rim. Let's keep going. At the moment, we now have a battle brewing between Bertie and Ziggy, our two very own admin. And Ziggy is closing in at a rate of knots. So I'm definitely forecasting that Bertie is considering a one stop at this point. But that's a long way to go if he's going to try and get one stop out of a set of softs at the very least.
Yeah, obviously, it may be doable, but I think, you know, it's, if it works, can he undercut? Can he overcut? Or, you know, come out in front of his main competitors tonight?
I think that is the question. That is definitely the question. And we will find out in due course. So, we do have Sim Race Dude with the fastest lap. I wonder how long that will stand. I mean, we might get Deadline pit for another set of softs at the end. Or we might even see Ziggy go for a fastest lap. But those 2 points are crucial for championship standings, and we'll see what the driver's going to do towards the end of the race. I think now we need to start playing a game of when will Deadline pit. But I think you need more of a Ouija board or a bingo caller to figure out when he's going to pit compared to other drivers. What do you think?
Yes, again, that one. It's hard to predict. We all know that Deadline's quite used to driving on the rims, so it's if he wants to drive on the rims again today. But like I said, he's a lot braver than what I would be around this track. I like to know that I've got the traction out of the death chicane. So yeah, very brave if he carries on. But also, you know, he's got that time now that he can pit, and like you said earlier, pretty much get a free pit stop with the gap that he has to the driver behind.
Yep, and then we see Ziggy. He's reached 0% on his front left tyre as well, so that grip is going to be massively reduced. I don't know how Bertie does it. He's still got basically 50% life on a set of soft tyres, despite them being 11 laps old. Some people can just tyre whisper.
Yeah, and Bertie is definitely one for that. I mean, his tyres look like they can still go quite a distance, which will help him, potentially go or make an overcut work. But depends. We saw some different strategies in lobby one. Some aggressive, some pitting a couple of times so that they're always on a fresh set of tyres. And towards the end, quite a few drivers picking the soft tyres over the medium tyres for just straight at right pace.
Yeah, it depends what you're after on your strategy. If you go to those, generally speaking, you go to harder tyres if you're going to try and go longer, but some of our drivers, Deadline, don't seem to subscribe to that theory. As we see Simon coming in for a pit stop, I would imagine that might be repairing some damage, because that is a very long stop and a full tank of fuel quite early. So maybe he decided to switch strategies thanks to some damage. But yeah, you generally go to harder tyres to go a lot longer on your stints, but again, some drivers don't subscribe to that theory. And Ziggy takes a wide line out of the final corner, cuts back in and goes into the pit. So he's subscribing more to the logical side. Low dead tyres, change them. But that does definitely give up the slipstream that Bertie was benefiting from to try and go longer. I'm pretty sure he's on a one-stop strategy, Sarah.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me with Bertie.
So Ziggy taking on some fuel. Yvonne has decided to pit as well, mirroring Ziggy's strategy. So we have two of our drivers. Ziggy comes out, 82%, that's another soft run. And we have Yvonne in repairing that damage and fueling up at the same time. So at the very least, we're going to have these drivers back out on track with a new set of tyres soon. And we have to remind everyone that all drivers have to use two different compounds for the race. So there's no use going softs all the way to the end. You have to use either the soft and a medium, or a hard, or the wet tyres if needs be. Obviously not today here at Dragon Trail Seaside. Oh, finally he's in Deadline pits. So maybe he just wanted to be the last one of the leaders to pit.
The last one. Yeah, he finally comes in, and which tyre will he want to go on? Will he go on another set of softs for pure speed, or will he go on a set of mediums now and go that little bit longer into the race?
I don't think a set of compounds and distance travelled are a part of the same equation as it is to us, Sarah. So as you say, some people are very, very happy running on the rims, and it's not something you and I tend to enjoy doing, but some drivers definitely do. Okay, and Bertie takes up the lead of the race. Deadline has just made that pit stop, so it's race on, Sarah.
Yeah, it seems quite close at the moment. Deadline finally pitting for what will be another set of tyres. Getting onto those two compounds, which is necessary. But I'm sure he'll be looking to go further into the race with a set of mediums now.
Yeah, quite right. And that will leave... Oh, big slide from Deadline. He's getting used to those medium tyres. But that will mean one further stop for Deadline, I'd imagine that. Even on a nearly full tank, he's definitely got a long way to go. So, Bertie on that one-stop strategy as he likes to pull out. And, the old tyre whisperer. Less the old, I bet he'll say. But, it's different strategies playing out here. Two stop versus one stop versus whatever stops everyone else is doing. It is, you do get a mixture of strategies here in Lobby 2.
Yeah, and I think obviously going back to lobby one as well, we did see quite a lot of people being able to hold on to their tyres longer than what we've seen in previous racing. And obviously, the one thing that they can't kind of outdo is fuel. Fuel causing a bit of issues for some drivers. As we say, Bertie can look after his tyres, but he can't look after fuel. So, he may not have to pit shortly for tyres, but he will definitely need to pit for fuel.
Yeah, quite right. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things you can do for fuel, but at the end of the day, it always just trickles away and without you wanting it to leave. But one thing I definitely found around this course, there was a lot of fuel benefit to time. The more the fuel went down, the more the times came down. But it is also a high tyre wear track, so like the degradation in the tyres against the times was quite minimal for a lot of the racing. And especially on the mediums, you kind of got a bit faster towards the end of the stint. That said, again, nothing lasts forever.
Yeah, like so you can drive on pretty worn tyres, but you can't drive on no fuel, unfortunately.
Exactly. Ziggy definitely making a bit of progress compared to the sprint race. He's got fresh tyres, 3/4 for tank, and in P4 at the moment. Looks like he's going to be trying to catch Haslett and Deadline and Bertie, so he's definitely on the move in that Supra.
Yeah, over the last couple of events, we've seen Ziggy have really good qualifying times, and unfortunately a few mistakes in the sprint race, but he's looking to rectify that in the feature race and potentially, knock on the door of the podium.
It's like you always say, though, some people get their eye in during the sprint race, and unfortunately comes back and bites them occasionally, myself included. And you try and aim for a better feature race, which is where most of the points are here on a Wednesday evening event.
Speaking to a few of the drivers, their preferred car is the Supra around here. So obviously, Ziggy in the Supra, it's a car that suits this track quite well. So hopefully, we'll see Ziggy continue doing a good job. We're obviously nearly halfway into the race and up in 4th place. Potentially maybe a podium on the cards.
I think so at this point. He's looking nice and comfortable in the car. Some drivers definitely need to feel the comfort of the car and a few miles under the belt before they can start moving forwards on the track. And like Ziggy, I would put myself in that same category. And you can always tell when someone is happy with the car, and you can definitely see it in his driving right now.
Yeah, 100%.
And like you say, the Supra is well known for being quick around here, but first you've got to be able to control it through that death chicane.
Exactly, and obviously that part of the track causing the most issues for the drivers tonight. We've across the both lobbies, we've seen quite a few meetings with the barrier, but it's very difficult to get that section right.
And often one thing you can find is if you're having a battle, particularly through that sector, even if it's not you having the incident, you can still be part of it. So it's definitely a bit of a tricky one.
A section that's very difficult to race side by side. Obviously, one driver usually has to kind of give way, which no racing driver wants to do that, but it's obviously safety is the main concern. You both want to survive to fight another day.
Yeah, exactly that. Keep an eye on Bertie out front. You can definitely tell that the car's definitely struggling with the front end tyres, but he's making it work. He's still got some to go though if he wants to try and get to a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, we've seen him do it before, and he's looking to do it again. But sometimes, that one-stop strategy, although obviously you don't lose the time in the pit stop, you do lose time on track with your lap times and the drivers around you obviously being on fresher tyres.
Yeah, it's the old age-old question: do you put on some new boots and go a lot quicker and stop more often, or do you stay out and keep moving?
Yeah, I sense a song coming on there. Just keep moving. But
these boots are made for walking or racing.
All these boots, yeah, exactly.
Answers on a postcard, please.
We both know, like, having a few moments in the past where I've asked Midnight, "Will these tyres last?" And he goes, "Well,
they will.
They will."
In what state? They might not be round at the end of it.
Yeah, might be driving on some square tyres there.
Did you ever turn that one into a TikTok or YouTube short?
I have, and I will be posting it.
We'll link it below.
The next coming month, because I always remember that. asking for some friendly advice, and he's like, "Well, they will, but."
As I go into the pit and Sarah carries on.
Yeah, that will always make me laugh because let's just say I had a little bit of a reaction to it and called Midnight a few names.
This wasn't the first, and it won't be the last.
Definitely not. Yeah, just on board with Haslett here. He seems to be, in a kind of in no man's land at the moment. Not too far, not close to anyone on track at the moment, but enjoying his drive. Getting those lines right, especially into this chicane part here. But he seems to, be just having a nice, smooth drive so far.
I would agree with that. Out of the top 4, Bertie's in. He couldn't make the one-stop work.
I'd say that left side has definitely seen some better days.
It's fuel though, so I wonder if he's going to abandon that strategy, go to a very aggressive 2-stop for the remainder of the race. But going back to your point about Haslett, he's having a very good race, but on strategy, I'm not sure about his position. Ziggy behind him is carrying a lot more fuel and fresher tyres and is chasing him down. Bertie, now behind the pair of them, is going to be on fresh tyres and more fuel as well, so Haslett's position in the top 3 looks a little bit precarious at the moment, but I don't think any of us can question that deadline out front at the moment is looking strong.
Yeah, we all know that that BMW is probably one of the most preferred cars for deadline, and we've seen in the previous events how well he drives that, and although he got a little bit of curb there, which did look like it unsettled the car just a little bit, but these things happen. But yeah, driving it a masterclass, driving that BMW and out in the lead, and hopefully, towards the end of the race, we might see a few battles for the lead. If not, deadline storming off ahead.
And one thing we might see in the coming races, if he's got enough points, he may be up into Lobby 1, which will really put his skills to the test.
Oh, 100%, yeah. We'll see how that BMW deals with the other drivers in the Lobby 1. But I think, all drivers, we've said it previously, that all drivers...
Oh! Haslett has picked up damage. I saw they got him close on track. Ziggy making a move for P2, Sarah.
Yeah, that caught us off guard. We were looking at deadline, but just behind deadline, a battle for the podium. Although Haslett doesn't want to give up just yet. He's, as you can see, on board with Ziggy. Haslett just behind.
Yeah, Ziggy
but
went
unfortunately,
deep into the
a lot
final
of damage.
Ziggy went deep into the final corner. Haslett was getting the cutback. But with that aero damage, he can't, even in the slipstream, stay with Ziggy.
No, it just goes to show, whenever you pick up damage, it does really affect the downforce of the car and the speed on those straight lines.
And the tricky problem they've got in these feature races as well was it's the opposite problem for the sprint. You never want to pit unless you absolutely have to in the sprint, but in the feature race you have to get into a pit window for your strategy to work, which I would imagine at this point Haslett's still going to have. It's too early for him to pit. I mean, he's not even at halfway. He's already had one stop. If he pits now, he's definitely resigning himself to a free stopper.
Yeah, which obviously could put him out of contention for that podium drive. But going back to Lobby 1, obviously we saw quite a few people picking up damage as well. And it's, like I said on the commentary for Lobby 1, it's, do I tough it out? Do I, keep the car on track for track position, but obviously it'll be going round a little bit slower than normal? Or do I pit, repair that damage and try to fight for another day and try and get as close as the cars in front as possible?
Yep, it's always that question of strategy and speed. You've got to balance the two, unless you're absolutely the fastest driver in the world, in which case you will never have to worry about strategy in your life. Thinking of you, Swizzy and Evo and Callum.
Yeah, we know quite a few drivers like that. Yeah, just obviously going back to... Yeah, I mean,
we got a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Goes back to what I was about to say before we went on board with Sabre, Venom, aka Haslett, and Ziggy, that all drivers across the two lobbies, I'd wish, Gran Turismo let everyone in the same lobby, because it would be interesting to see kind of the finishing order, because we've got, the 27 really fast drivers, and it'll be interesting
Agreed.
to kind of see him
Oh, that's
how
interesting.
how and where they finish.
Sharon Inn, clearly on a free stopper. That's interesting. Just as she was about to get overtaken by Bertie. But I do agree. Polyphony, GT8, or very least GT7 Part 2. Give us 30 driver grids. Yes, please.
Yes, please, we'd like that.
Stable grids. I will say that, stable grids.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It might happen in a few years' time. But
Whilst we're on that topic, I will say to Polyphony, if any of them happen to watch this, the improvement since day one is massive with the lobbies. However, it's still some way to go, but there's a reason why we all do adore GT7. It's from the tracks, it's from the community, and all the friendships we built up, but still work to be done.
yes, for sure. Obviously, still things that can be improved, but we're enjoying it so far. To make it better, there's always improvements that can be made. I think that's with anything, obviously we know with quite a few things that yes, they are good, but there's always stuff that you can do better to make it even better.
Agreed. Okay.
Oh, just went on board with Bertie, who went very wide coming into that chicane bit, and that nearly came face first with a barrier, but luckily just avoided it.
Looked like he had to slam the brakes on, so he was very slow out of the chicane. So yeah, he's obviously just about avoided an incident, which is what you want to do.
Yeah, especially when you're facing like head first. I just saw that. I was just looking at Simon there, driving on 2 wheels instead of 4 there.
Oh, that was a bunny hop. Why? Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like it unsettled the car too much, but I'm sure no driver in a car wants to drive 2 wheels out of 4.
No. Well, you can argue that aero does work in mid-air as well as on the 4 wheels on the track. So he clearly had some sort of turning ability in mid-air there. It's more of a plane than a car, but still.
Yeah, I can see that. The RX Vision, taking off at any moment.
Out of the lot of them, it does look. It's one of my favourite cars to look at. Maybe not the sound of it, but it does look like it might have some slight pilot-related.
I'd say definitely with that rear wing, it could definitely take flight. Just having a look on board with everyone. Ziggy up to P2. I'm sure he'd be very happy about that indeed. But yeah, it looks like everyone's kind of spaced out at the moment. When I mean that, I mean obviously all drivers on different sectors on the track, just enjoying their laps, enjoying driving. Obviously, coming up to halfway into the race. If not, we've just crossed it. But yeah, I mean, I think especially around Seaside, it's the track times. It's not as important as other tracks. Obviously, it's just about getting that last sector right, because that's your make or break section. And obviously, you raced in Lobby 1. Tell us about, having to deal with that chicane 38 laps.
Well, speaking from personal experiences, if you're on the ball through there and you've got a nice line, it feels absolutely great to nail that section through there. However, if you lose a little bit of confidence, if there's an earlier incident, which from my perspective in Lobby 1 kind of happened to me a little bit. Oh, and Simon clatters the barrier but gets away with it. But Simon actually goes through there. You see, the chicane has 2 parts to it, so you can have an incident on both parts, which is never fun. But if you lose that confidence, you lose time all the way through there because you're lifting, and then you lose time all the way down the back straight to the final corner. So it is absolutely vital that the rest of the track itself, it's not easy, but it is a lot more of a standard track. There's a couple of chicanes here and there, a couple of high-speed corners, one big stop at the hairpin down into the Seaside section. But yeah, this track really does sort the proverbial men from the boys through there.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said as well, obviously when you get it right, it feels pretty good. When you get it wrong, it's it is quite annoying.
It's nail biting, and it's always that noise that you hear every time someone is about to have an incident through there, and it's when you suck the air through your teeth. Ooh, that kind of feeling. And you feel it. You feel it. You've been there. We've all done it. It's not to say this track isn't without tricky corners coming out of the right-hander as Ziggy's just done. If you get onto the curb too much, you can definitely drop the rear left onto the curbing and end up in the barrier on the other side. So it happens as Yvonne is also coming into pit to repair that damage. Maybe her final stop of the evening, sir.
Potentially, obviously having to pick up quite a bit of fuel as well. But yeah, I mean, we've seen obviously with Yvonne's car, although when it gets damaged, it doesn't seem to slow it down too much with that Beetle. You know, maybe the Beetle being unbreakable. But yeah, I mean, going back to the track itself, it's personally one of my favourites. I love driving this. I've always had, you know, touch wood, I've always had some decent results around here. So whenever this track comes up, I always enjoy driving it. But it's a challenging but good track in my opinion.
Something I've just noticed, Sarah. Sharon has just been in to put on some fresh soft tyres, which has taken on very little fuel. Interesting potential strategy. I wonder if she's warming up for just an attempt at the fastest lap.
Potentially, or going for quite an aggressive strategy. Obviously, she knows she's just outside of the podium, so you know, if she can get as close as she can to Bertie. But yeah, obviously gearing up for another stop.
Oh, deadline! He doesn't stop pushing at any point. He's out in the lead by about 15 to 20 seconds. He doesn't stop pushing. Every time I go on board with him, he's across a curb, sliding it through another corner. Oof. But somehow gets away with it.
Yeah, it just goes to show, you know, he's not took that foot off of that accelerator the whole 23 laps so far, and it doesn't look like he's going to do it anytime soon. But obviously he probably knows in his head that he has got that a little bit of room if he does make a mistake, but obviously he doesn't want to make a massive mistake, because that, you know, that 20-second lead could whittle away pretty quickly.
Yeah, one spin, one hit in the barrier, that's 10-15 seconds right there. And that means your strategy is completely off kilter as well, which could easily lose you half a minute. So, very, very easy. We always say it's not over until it's over. And particularly around a track like this, it can literally change on the last lap. And as we've seen a number of times this season in particular, changes for first on the last lap. So,
the drivers
it ain't
like to
over yet.
Yeah, the drivers definitely like to give us some photo finishes and make you know, us work right until the bitter end. Very similar to what happened in Lobby as one as well. You know, we had quite a close finish again, but you know, I'm not complaining. I like how close all the drivers are on track, and you know, seeing the different strategies, how they're working out, and some of the alternative strategies being one of the better ones. But yeah, I mean, a massive, you know, applaud to all the drivers. It's been great so far to see how close they all are.
Precisely, and it's very encouraging to see how often we see in the Discord and from a lot of the drivers who have had a good race. It doesn't matter where they finish relative to each other, but it's always, that was a great race between us, I enjoyed that. So the positivity is what we're all about, and it's great to see.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, you know, all the drivers being supportful of each other, and you know, I've definitely seen in the respective channels over the last couple of weeks, you know, drivers holding practice sessions for everybody, you know, everyone getting involved, which is always good to see.
Simon was unfortunately making some inroads. Oh, there comes the deadline. I didn't realise his fuel was that low. But Simon was making some inroads, trying to catch Yvonne at that point, and he's unfortunately caught the barrier. Only a glance, but that's going to hurt his handling with the front right as well as the front left now. But
yeah, I think
still circulating. He's got to go a little bit further to get in the window for his final stop, but he's nearly there.
He's nearly there, and obviously got Ziggy coming in as well with minimal fuel. Looks like he's gearing up for his last stop as well. Obviously, you see Bertie just going through the chicane there.
Oh! Bad timing.
Bad timing from us there. Commentator's curse. We know, but he must have known that we were going back and watching him go through that chicane, which, like we said, 9 times out of 10 you can drive it perfectly. That one time you just go a bit too fast, or not heavy enough on the braking. Oh, Bertie changing his mind at the last minute there. It looks like he was diving into the pits, but last minute changed his mind to, potentially wants to try and see if he can drive with that damage, and how that damage will affect his car. Obviously, it goes back to that age-old argument: do I circulate with the damage, or do I pit repair? But obviously, he's only recently just pitted for those medium tyres.
Might well be under the thinking one or two things. Just like go a little bit longer, go to softs for the last couple of laps. If you can just push another lap or two, opens up the strategy a little bit for him, because we know he's going to have to stop again, because we know he can't do half the race given the fuel load, because he couldn't do it in the first stint. So he might be just going to a bit more of a window where he goes to the soft tyres against Ziggy, who's on the mediums, or he realised he was going to be cutting across the white line to the pit entry, so he had to abort the pit stop.
Potentially. Obviously, no driver really ever wants to get that massive 3-second penalty for cutting those white lines. So yeah, maybe thinking better of it, and knowing that if he did come into the pits, he would receive that penalty. So maybe potentially some clever racecraft there, or like you say, just circulating that little bit longer to see how that damage affects his car.
Sharon is just on the back of Ziggy at the moment, so she's having a good race. Ziggy having a very wild moment coming through that chicane, but got away with it. Tyres still getting up to temperature. Sharon will have to come in this lap for some fuel. But it's interesting to see how the strategies are all filtering through now. Now we're getting into that last stop area. Sharon should be in. Simon's just made his final pit stop. But I have to say, particularly at last week at Watkins, I was massively impressed with a load of the drivers, given that pit entrance, how very few, if none, managed to pick up a penalty for that horrible pit entrance.
Yeah, obviously we know that at Watkins Glen you really had to hug that right-hand side if you wanted to come into the pits, and no driver really wants to slow down that much when they're coming into the pits. I know from experience I like to just dive into the pits at relatively high speed to not lose as much time. But at Watkins Glen you had to be really precise with kind of how much speed you were taking that last corner if you wanted to pit. But the pit, saving venom. Yeah, go bunny hopping across the gravel and the grass. Luckily enough, in the game it doesn't affect you too much, but in real life you would you'd definitely be stuck there waiting for a marshal to drag you out.
Oh, I know a fellow, I won't mention his name's Max, who was telling me a story the other day. Who he went off into a barrier in a C1, I think he said he was in, and he said that the impact was absolutely fine. However, the 5-point harness left him with a bit of a squeeze, shall we say. And it was a little bit uncomfortable for him. Just seeing Haslett going over those bumps would make me wince just thinking about that one, especially with that harness. It would just be a bit jarring. But if you have a strong enough wheel as well, like a high-end Fanatec, Logitech or Thrustmaster, you would feel the kick in that, and I can speak from experience, it can hurt.
Yeah, obviously being aware of some viral clips, when people crash and they don't let go of the wheel, it can cause some injuries. But yeah, it just goes to show how hard these drivers are pushing it, and it goes to show you to go maybe a little bit too much speed going into that section. See, that kink is very difficult. If you don't get the line right through there, it does kind of spit you out into the grass and into the gravel. But he got going with little damage, and luckily the car didn't unsettle too much and didn't kind of throw him into the barriers.
Deadline making an attempt to that fast lap, trying to take it off our sim race dude, goes through. Oh no, he's hit. He's hit. Big damage for Deadline. That is going to be an extra pit stop. I mean, we know he's going to be wanting that fastest lap. You can see how hard he was pushing. He's only going to have to pit for tyres and repair, but that's going to put Ziggy well within range of him now. This is interesting, Sarah.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. And obviously we've just seen him into the pits now, get rid of that damage pretty much straight away. Obviously he's aware that how much damage he did pick up and how that will affect that BMW. But yeah, obviously it just goes to show how hard he is pushing it. I mean,
he's not changing tyres.
No, didn't want to lose too much time then, as he's aware that Ziggy, you know, is on that start-finish straight. He just comes out just in front of Ziggy. But, you know, I think Ziggy will be smiling ear to ear from here at the moment, you know, being this close to deadline.
Yeah, that... Oh, do you know what? I definitely would have changed tyres and come out behind Ziggy just to have the fresher tyres. Bear in mind, those soft tyres are going to degrade a heck of a lot between now and the end of the race. This race is not over, Sarah. Interesting. Have to keep a close eye on them. At the moment, out the top four, Bertie definitely has the best tyres because he's only pitted a lap ago for the soft one. So, challenge for the faster lap is still on. Sharon and Yvonne having a good battle down to turn one.
Yeah, both drivers here, you know, gearing up for a battle. But yeah, going back to deadline and Ziggy, yeah, picking. I think I would have personally gone on another set of tyres as well. Like you say, you know, having that few lap advantage towards the end will definitely help.
These two from the Inner Esports camp having an absolutely cracking battle through Sector 1. Yvonne is carrying some front right damage again. Looks like, unfortunately, the chicane is bitten again. And for some reason, the marshal putting out a blue flag there for some reason. They do like waving their flags for no reason around here. But Sharon with lovely fresh soft tyres and hopefully going to the end unless she's on a 4-stopper. We'll figure out that soon I think. But Yvonne's still another pit stop to come as well. It's like a lot of drivers electing to run on low fuel and lots of softs.
Yeah, I was just looking at that and looking at obviously the lap counter. We've still got around 10 laps to go. So yeah, I mean, I think towards the end, you know, Sharon might struggle with a little bit with fuel. That Ferrari isn't the worst, but isn't the best on fuel. But you know, I'm sure she'll make it work. As we can see, she's got great pace at the moment.
Ooh, deadline. He is pushing his luck in some of these corners. It was entertaining to watch, and he's a fun guy to be around in a party and racing against, but makes me wince sometimes coming through some of these corners.
He's not taking his foot off no matter what. But yeah, I mean, I'd be still pushing, but I'd be you know, if he makes that sort of mistake again, how close Ziggy is behind him. So you know, if one more, you know, death chicane hit, that could lose him the win.
Yeah, he's going to have to be careful. There's 9 laps still to go, and that front left is already looking a little bit second hand. He's going to have the pace for now. So he's definitely got to stay with him and just keep the race clean from here. It's good seeing these two just one after the other. That's going to be a thumbnail for later on, I feel.
Oh, definitely. Just on board with Sharon now. She just looks to lap Simon, who just at the last minute gets out of the way, lets Yvonne through. But yeah, I mean, Sharon, she's gearing up for another run at the death chicane, as we like to call it, or we have another word for it, but I'll try my best not to say it. It might creep out once in a while.
Yeah, don't say death chicken, whatever you do.
Yeah, but yeah, another successful run out of the chicane for Sharon. But yeah, I'm just on board with, you know, looking at that fuel. It's going to be a tricky one to get that to the end of the race.
Yeah, it's either fuel mode 6 to the end or another quick pit stop. Without going over to lobby 1 again, I do find that there was 2 distinct camps of approach in lobby 1. This race and last race. We had a lot of drivers with Louis in Watkins who did a 1-stop at Watkins somehow, and a lot of drivers who went for multi stops, and somehow we always end up in the same bit of track. So it's entertaining to see in this championship all the different versions of strategy.
Yeah, I like, personally, I like, you know, trying to predict the strategies, but sometimes it is very difficult to predict, and the drivers like to surprise us one way or another. Obviously, going back to Watkins Glen last week, I know that you went for a very aggressive strategy as opposed to everyone else, but yeah, I mean, I like trying to work out, you know, if he pits here, how long can he go into the race with this amount of fuel? So yeah, I'm intrigued to see, you know, everyone's strategies. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't, but that is the nature of a strategy. You never know until you try and do it if it's going to work or not.
All I can say is Booyaka 619 Deadline has just taken the fastest lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what I did
feel
there?
like, you know, yeah, I did. I did see that, and it just threw me off a little bit. But yeah, he definitely, you know, not letting off.
Oh, he's still
Very
doing
drifty.
it. Still doing
Yeah,
it.
driving that BMW like you should, being very drifty coming out of a few corners.
Driving it
Yeah,
like
tyre wear.
it.
Exactly. Tyre wear probably going to be a bit of an issue towards the end of the race. Yeah, you know, maybe he's a fan of Rey Mysterio. I don't know.
I was wondering. Ziggy at the moment, he has definitely dropped back. He's dropped a couple of seconds twice in the last 2 laps, so I can only feel that the medium's not suiting him, or he's had a couple of moments which he's saved. We'll go on board with him through the chicanes, through the Seaside section, but he doesn't look like he's as comfortable as he was on those soft tyres earlier on.
No, and it just goes to show, you know, we've seen it across some of the events that we definitely haven't seen the hards a lot, but the mediums seem to be kind of, they're either great and they work well for drivers, or they don't, and that's why a lot of drivers are going for that more aggressive approach with a lot of softs. But yeah, the medium tyres being a bit of a challenge to a few drivers, obviously with the updated physics, but you know, it allows you to go that little bit longer into the race. But do you risk it on a tyre that you're not comfortable with, or, you know, just go pedal to the metal with those set of softs and make that aggressive strategy work?
Exactly, and incoming battle, it looks like Hazlitt in P3 has got aging medium tyres, 7 laps to go. Bertie a few seconds behind, just a corner behind now in P4 on much fresher softs and more fuel, so he can push as hard as he wants to the end. Although he did have a very poor last lap, he lost 3 seconds somewhere. So, oh, then don't worry, he's made himself feel a bit better now with a personal best.
So he was changing that average a little bit.
Yeah.
He had a poor lap, but he makes it better again and goes pretty fast.
Hazlitt somewhere has lost 6 seconds. So he's definitely feeling. I wonder if he's had an issue coming through the final corner, because he looked like he was a bit off track location. He was in a weird place on the straight, so I wonder if he's lit up the rear tyre somewhere.
Again, goes back to that BMW is a bit of a handful, especially around a high-speed track like this. So potentially, you know, a few corners catching him out. But that does open Bertie. You know, Bertie will be seeing that. Oh, Hassler goes very wide in that section there, which does lose him quite a bit of time to Bertie. Bertie, you know, going onto the outside line into this Seaside section. Will look like he might be on for a switchback here. Might just be too far behind. But we'll stay on board with Bertie going through the chicane. It's basically goes back to that thing that one driver, if they go a little bit too slow, they're going to lose quite a bit of time through here. But both drivers getting through nice and clean. And Hassett, you know, being the braver out of the two, managed to extend that gap a little bit through that chicane. And Bertie taking it nice and careful and eyeing up that move going into this next lap.
Yeah, I can also feel that Bertie, I think he's taking his time. He knows it's only, if you pit now, that is going to ruin any chance of a podium. So he's just got to be patient, I feel. You can definitely see that Haslett is struggling for grip. Sharon comes in for that final stop as well. So I think Bertie's just going to be patient. He doesn't need to make the move super soon. He just needs to wait for an opportunity, and then he's be up to P3.
So I was just on board with Bertie and just obviously seeing Haslett just in front, being very twitchy on that rear end. So, you know, typical BMW, being a bit twitchy on the rear end. But yeah, obviously it's never nice trying to fight the car. So yeah, Bertie probably seeing this from on board, you know, seeing how twitchy that rear end of that BMW is, as Haslett goes a little bit wide into this section again here. Not as wide as last time. He looks like he's on the defensive. He knows Bertie is quite close behind him, so he's trying to shut the door to Bertie, you know, go on all of those apexes.
Yeah, all he's got to do is just sit on the apexes around here, and it is impossible to get through. This is not a section where you can comfortably get two cars side by side, particularly through there.
Oh, that was close. That was very close. But that does lose Haslett a bit of time. Bertie diving onto the outside line. Obviously, it's a bit harder to pass on the outside line here. He'll look to cut back. Although Sabre Venom, you know, Haslett shutting the door at the last moment, sitting on that apex, and makes Bertie fight for another day.
Yeah, definitely getting the most out of that M6, lining up the exit the corner rather than the entry, and is just trying to get high speed down to turn 1 and just about holding back that BRZ, which is comfortably in the top 2 or 3 at the highest top speed. So at the moment, Haslett doing an absolutely amazing job. Going defensive into the right hander, which is going to end up in a 90-degree angle corner, which is going to be very, very hard on the traction. And this is where a lot of drivers that we have seen drop it, even including in the sprints and the features across both lobbies. So both drivers getting through and continuing the fight.
Yeah, and it looked like a defensive move.
Damage.
Oh no!
I think he's been carrying that for a lap or so. The last lap was about 5 seconds slow. So there goes the shot for the win. Deadline is cutting across the grass, across the pit straight. What is he doing? Is he just inventing his new track? New lines across the pit track.
Maybe, or potentially trying to cool those tyres down a little bit, as those softs that Deadline was on look like they've seen better days. So it just goes to show, you know, deciding not to pit, well, when he did pit, not to pick up another set of softs might have come back to bite him here.
Ooh, Haslett just about getting through the chicane as well.
I was going to say, we needed a tape measure there to see how close that was to the wall there, because that was very close indeed.
I think you put the tape measure there and destroy it.
Yeah. It's probably, you know, just
here we go. I think moves on time. Bertie right under the rear wing. Right under the rear wing, the slipstream. Will he go to the outside, which will become the inside for the left hander, or will he go to the right, which will then be... Okay, you change direction so often on this track it's at the inside and the outside for the next corner, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And has, you know, still being defensive, sitting on all of those apexes. But obviously the slipstream will be helping Bertie a great deal here.
It does look like Haslett is very, very confident on the brakes. However, you're definitely seeing that the rear traction is starting to break for that M6. Because Bertie always catches up coming out of the corner, but Haslett looks like he's very, very confident into the corner. But that front left is wearing down. This is where it's gonna hurt him. This right-hander.
Definitely, and as we see Bertie diving into the inside, diving off the outside, Haslett saying no, not yet. I'm not ready to give up just yet, and both all get very close going into the Seaside section here. It'll be who will take that chicane, and you know, who will be a bit braver going into this section here. But yeah, I mean, both drivers being confident respectively in different sections and different corners, so it's a battle that I think we'll be seeing right till the end.
Yep, 3 more laps to go out the front. Deadline running on dead tyres. I mean, it's to echo what we said earlier on. He doesn't mind running those tyres completely down to the canvas.
Oh, but he loses it. He was facing the wrong way temporarily, which does lose him quite a bit of time to Haslett in front.
Yep, that is unfortunate. Now there's a gap of half the bit straight. Easily done round here.
Yeah, Haslett went very wide going into that final corner, and Bertie very aggressive, going on those apexes, but may have potentially gotten the power a little bit too early, which did, temporarily face him the wrong way. But he managed to hold it, not get any damage, and not hit any barriers. I've had my fair few of them.
I tell you what, though, Deadline's got a gap out front at the moment. If I were him, I'd be extremely tempted to go for a strategic pit stop and go for a set of soft tyres and just for fun, see if you can set the fastest lap even further today. But he's not going to do that. He's going to carry on. But unfortunate for Bertie, like you say, but he's got those soft tyres. He's got to push for the last couple laps, see if he can catch Haslett back up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Obviously not what you want the last couple of laps when you were in a battle to temporarily kind of face the wrong way. But we've still got a couple of laps, anything could happen, and potentially that BMW on the rear wheel drive. He didn't lose too much time, as we can see Bertie just in the background. So the fight, I think, still on at the moment.
Yeah, it does look like Bertie is zeroing in on Haslett very quickly. It's definitely allowed him to put the foot down again. It looked like when he was up behind Haslett, he was lapping probably 2 seconds a lap off his optimum. So definitely trying to choose his moment, and he's almost back with him already. So I think Bertie's got the pace. He just needs to be more confident on the brakes and nail him down to turn 1 super quick. And do you know what? I think Haslett's running out of fuel. I think he's fuel saving. There we go, Bertie down to turn 1. There you go. That's got to be it. He's running so light on fuel. Haslett must be fuel saving, and yeah, Bertie straight through P3.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Struggling for fuel, still got 1 lap left, so he's trying to make it to the end, shall we say? So yeah, obviously maybe a slight miscalculation there, or maybe potentially with that fight burning through a bit too much fuel. But yeah, in the end, Bertie sailing through, and looks like he's secured that P3.
Yeah, and Haslett's going to have to be careful because Sharon isn't too far behind as well. So he's going to have to make sure he coasts for this final lap to keep the average speed up high rather than run out of fuel. So, Deadline onto the final lap, into the first corner for the last time on 1 wheel out of 4 at the moment. That car must be handling horribly. It doesn't seem to mind though.
Yeah, it just goes back to that fact that you can drive on pretty much worn tyres, but you can't on fuel. So if this race was any longer, we'd obviously see he'd be racing on 0 tyres, but also 0 fuel. So I'm sure Deadline will be happy that this is the final lap. He's only got a few more corners left.
But at least it has settled down now for all the drivers, with the exception maybe nail biting for Haslett. We have to keep an eye on Haslett coming through that final half lap. But he starts his final one now, with Sharon just coming through the Seaside section. So he can't hang around, but he definitely needs to be frugal with that fuel. So, yeah. Sarah, a couple of seconds on each.
Deadline lost a lot of time there, because last time we checked, Yvonne was behind Deadline. So Deadline, potentially that minimal, tyre wear may have cost him there, losing position to the Yvonne. But obviously, he knows that he's only got a few corners left, so he'll be trying his best not to make any more mistakes here.
Yeah, Yvonne unlapping herself, going back onto the lead lap. As Deadline comes around the final corner sideways. Sarah, take it away.
As Deadline crosses the finish line with very minimal tyres left, and like I say, I think he'll be very happy that it was the last lap as we join Ziggy coming through that final sector. And what a race he's had, his I believe his first maiden podium, and he's not done quite a lot of races this season, so I'm sure that P2 finish will definitely boost his confidence going into the last couple of races. Then on to Bertie. Bertie very lucky, obviously Haslett running out a little bit of fuel there did help Bertie secure that P3. And Haslett just coming out of the chicane section.
Just keeping an eye on him,
I think he might have run out of fuel.
Yes, I think he has.
He's coasting. He's literally coasting towards the end. I think it might be a bit too late for Sharon to
Yeah,
catch
he's
him,
out.
but yeah.
He's out. He's slowing. Sharon coming through the final sector. I think he's just going to get away with it. He'll be capped at 50 miles an hour. But he's just going to get away with it. Going to crawl across the line.
If that happened a few corners before, that could have been a different result that we see here.
He only just gets away with it, Sharon, within 10 seconds of him. Woo.
Yeah, cutting it very fine indeed was Haslett there.
Yeah, one corner earlier, that would have been a different story. Sometimes you've got to be lucky.
Yeah, and I think, he'll be counting his lucky stars of being very lucky there. But as we join Yvonne going across the start-finish straight now.
Yeetle Beetle P6.
And, yep, Super Simon finishing P7. But yeah, what a race. What a finish, always unpredictable as always.
Yeah.
And, yeah, some drivers cutting it a little bit too fine. As we saw, Haslett running out of fuel at the last corner. But other than that, I think I'm very happy for Ziggy, securing that P2 finish. I'm sure he'll be very, very happy about that indeed.
Yeah, quite right. I mean, that is a great result, particularly for Deadline. That's a double win today, so he's going to be on the verge of Lobby 1, if not already in it. But we'll check that out with the stats afterwards. And Ziggy-wise, I mean, that is a great result, particularly in the feature. Took what he learned in the sprint and has definitely turned it around. And you're just checking, that is his... Yes, that is his maiden podium of the season, I believe. So, but he's had a pole, but that's his first time on the roster. So, rostrum rather. And congratulations there. And to Bertie, that is his first P3 of the year, but he has had a couple of wins at High Speed Ring Reverse, so that's his third time to the podium this year, so congrats to him as well. And to Haslett, that was not a bad race as well, so yet to be on the podium, but only missing out by one place. So hopefully at Spa and Le Mans, which will be coming up in the next couple of weeks, hopefully you can change it up a bit and then pick up a good podium. And with
although being a tale of two halves, Haslett picking up a podium in the sprint race.
True.
So having a slightly stronger sprint race than feature race with that strategy. But like you say, a lot of different drivers on the podium. It's always good to see. That's what I love about these races. We never can really predict who's going to be on the podium come the end of the race.
Quite right. And okay, well, I'm going to round that one off, Sarah, and say I've thoroughly enjoyed this one. I hope you have too, and hope everyone in the audience watching this and the drivers have. For anyone who wants to come and join us, there are various drivers in Lobby 1 and Lobby 2 who stream their own races, including myself, including Mac and some various other drivers. But if you want to come and check the official commentary for Lobby 1, check out Sarah_Hawkey on Twitch. And obviously check back here on Nighthawk Racing YouTube, as well as TikTok and Instagram for further updates and features. But Sarah, that was a good race at Dragon Trail. We saw a lot of action, a lot of different strategy. I think there's just one question: driver of the day.
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know whether to just give it to Deadline, picking up a double win, and potentially, if I'm standing corrected, he might be on for a Grand Slam here. I'm not sure if he got the fastest lap in the sprint race, but we'll have to check that. We'll get that confirmed or denied come the next race. But difficult. I want to either tie it between Deadline and Ziggy. What about yourself?
I'm with you on that. I'm going to have to edge that over to Deadline just for the double victory and the dominance. I mean, if it wasn't for the incident into the wall a few laps from the end, he would have been half a minute up the road. So congratulations to Deadline on the wins there, and well done.
Yeah, and obviously, like Midnight said, we will see you next week for Spa, which will be a wet race, so I'll be interested to see how the drivers deal with a wet race, the first wet race of the season. So we will see you at Spa, and hopefully, again, we'll have some great races. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll know next time when we'll post some videos. But yeah, I think midnight, if you agree, let's go hear from some drivers.
Couldn't agree more. And thank you all. See you all again soon.
See ya.
Yeah, back again. This time doing a slightly better than last time for sure. To start off with, sprint race, I had Mr. Sales Tech Race, or Sim Race dude, behind me. I was wondering he was probably going to be my biggest rival in this race. And to be fair, he for some parts of the races, he definitely was. Yeah. But we move on. Yeah, racing was fine. I didn't really do any mistakes, especially not in Death Chicane. Well, not for sprint races, at least, but we will get to that in a bit. Yeah, I can't really say much about sprint race besides my tyre choice was okay-ish for once. Going with the softs, my trusted softs, not too bad. I kept the gap, kept staying first as I should, and yeah, I won the race relatively well. I had no issues there. So yeah, I think at the end, on the last lap-ish, I would say I was getting worried because I wasn't too sure how the guys behind were kind of catching up to me quite relatively quickly. So I wasn't sure if it was going to be a last lap, kind of more like a last corner battle going on. But to be fair, we were fine. We got there in the end, taking that P1 so far for sprint, not too bad. But we move on to qualifying. Once again, it looked like it was going to be a race between me and Sim Race Dude and some of the other guys, just in case, because, I know myself, I might do a shambolic qualifying or do a great or qualifying enough that I'm not dead last, i.e. second dead last. But again, we move on. One important note for qualifying, because I normally don't do this, but one important note for qualifying is that I think on my last proper lap, I didn't I didn't brake for Death Chicane, and oh my god, that slapped me on pole. I think I was 3/10 because of that. I think in that sector alone, just because I didn't take that corner, I didn't brake for that corner, I gained 6/10. But yeah, I've seen some of the guys I've seen some of the times in Lobby 1, I think that's ridiculous. So it's like, how they can do that without braking for every lap. It's insanity for me. But we move on. But yeah, slapped it on pole. Had seen race dude behind me, or seen us take a race and behind me. Yeah, was a bit worried, won't lie. But got off the line, did fine. Didn't really have any issues into lap 2 when I noticed that Cinnamon Race dude, after the Death Chicane, lost it. And lost it quite badly. It looked like I'm assuming probably the corner corner curb just ruined his day, and he slapped into the wall, and which gave me a great opportunity to drive away. I think by the end of my first stint, I was 31 seconds ahead, which meant I left the pits second place behind Siggy, which obviously was a great position for me to be in second place. It's not too bad. And yeah, really speaking, I didn't really have any issues in that feature race. Ignoring a time where I might have accidentally ruined Death Chicane and gave myself front end and tire wheel damage, which then I had to pit for 21 seconds, meaning I lost all my time to Siggy. Not ideal. But it was fine. I don't think I actually caught up to him. I think he pitted. I think he had to pit one in. So he lost a bunch of time for me whilst I was still on my quote-unquote normal my last stint it was. I apologise. It was my last stint, so it really mattered for me. But of course, it kind of actually helped me a bit because I was a bit worried of my fuel. So I pitted in for extra fuel as well to repair, which probably costed me a bit of time, but it gave me more reassurance that I can push through to the end of the race and grab the fastest lap as well. Once again, I think not too sure how many seconds. I think I was 1/10 quicker on purple. So yeah, that was the extra bonus as well. Just really make sure that I actually get into lobby 1, which is where I really wanted to be. So yeah, thankfully as well, I won the race. I didn't fumble it like I probably would probably do, knowing me, because I know myself. I normally do fumble the bag quite badly when I'm in a great opportunity, but thankfully this round wasn't at that time. So yeah, great race. I had no complaints there. Taking the winning sprint, pole position, winning the feature, and fastest lap. The only thing I didn't take was fastest lap in sprint, if I'm correct, which was taken by Sim Race Dude, which I'm not complaining. So yeah, overall, couldn't ask for more, really. So yeah, I'll see you whenever I'm here again. I highly doubt I'll be back here again, but hey, you never know. Miracles can be made.
Hello, gents. Well, first of all, thank you for the Nighthawk for putting this season back up. It's a privilege to be a part of the team and to be around and to try to help everyone. So, first of all, my thanks to the team. Secondly, about the race, it was fun. It's a tricky track. But it's quite fun. I really enjoyed the track. And yeah, bad sprint, reasonable good quali for the feature. A really bad start at the feature, and then just, head down, keep calm, bet on some problems, mistakes from the drivers in front of me, trying to maintain a good pace and consistency. Had to reverse all the strategy I had for the tires, and it ended up quite well considering the start I had. So quite happy. Congrats to Deadline and to Bertie for the podium. Deadline for the win, of course. Also Deadline, sorry for that small tap on the sprint. Let's go for the next one. Thank you.
The BRZ looked slow around here in practice. I wasn't expecting a good result, managed to get fourth in the sprint by stay out of trouble in the chicane. The feature, I was well off from the top two. Tried saving fuel to try the one stop, but everyone in front of me either crashed or pitted early, so I couldn't get the advantage of saving fuel behind people. Changed to a two-stop in the end, hoping that being on the softs at the end would give me an advantage to catch some drivers, and with a bit of luck managed to get third after Haslett had to fuel save near the end. But well done to Deadline on the double win this week.